Are you someone who loves planning tasks and staying on schedule, but don't want to pay for expensive tools? Then Todo Planner is here for you. In this series, we'll be building a powerful and free-to-use Todo Planner to help you organize, manage, and track your work efficiently. I actually built a similar app about 5 years ago using React.js, but that was then. With everything I've learned, I'm excited to see how much more refined and feature-rich this new version will be. If you're new to this channel, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and comment to support the content. Code with Eno. Hello, welcome to the channel Code with Eno. So in this section, we'll be looking at the requirements and a little bit of design. And here we have the problem statement. Are you obsessed about task planning and want to do things on time, but you don't have the means to pay for a tool? Then Todo Planner is your friend. So this is what we'll be building, Todo Planner. And we want to make sure the Todo Planner is easy to use and it is free, open source if possible. So here we have the functional requirement. We'll be dealing with project, sub-project, task, subtask, category, labels, and links. And we'll be able to categorize sub-projects, we'll be able to label tasks, we'll be able to tick subtasks as completed or uncompleted, and also be able to track progress on project, sub-project, tasks, and subtasks. So these are the functional requirements. Also supported by the user story, we have the different sections of our project that we'll be building. So we have projects, okay? So in the Todo Planner, you'll be able to build to create projects. And a project here is considered as an individual or collaborative initiative that is carefully planned to achieve a particular aim. So in this case, the user will be able to create a project, as many projects as possible. A project is considered complete if all the sub-projects created under this project are completed as well. So we have the user story in this case. We see that the user will be able to create a project. A user will be able to link resources to a project, resources like GitHub and so on and so forth. And also a user will be able to track progress for the different portion of the project. Next is going to be the sub-project. Here we say the sub-project is a part of a project and aim at grouping related tasks of the project into smaller groups. This is like, let's say you're creating a project and the project has both the front end and the back end. So you'll be able to create sub-project under that project and categorize them as front end, back end, database, security, marketing, and so on and so forth. So in this case, a user will be able to create as many sub-project under a specific project. And a sub-project is considered complete if all the tasks created under it is done. So the user story here, we can see create a sub-project, link resources. So we'll be able to link resources to sub-projects as well. We'll be able to label. So here, I don't think labeling will make sense here because I think somewhere down, I instead talk about categorizing sub-projects. So we'll be able to categorize sub-projects, for example, front-end, back-end, database, security. So I'm going to modify this in a bit. So be able to categorize sub-project, but we'll be able to label task. So in this case, we can also track the progress of sub-projects. And here we have tasks. A task is the smallest entity of a project. So a task can be created under sub-project. And under a task, we can also attach key results. Key results will be used by QA engineer and, to verify if the task was completed. So we have the user stories that are attached to these tasks. We can see here a user will be able to create a task, link resources as well, change the mode of the task. So we're going to see the modes very soon. The modes are the different, the different mode that a task can be. For example, today, progress, stock, and so on and so forth. So we're going to see that very soon. But for now, we should know that the users can change the mode of a task. A user can add key result for the QA. The user can label a task and also track progress, how many tasks has been completed or how many sub-tasks have been completed under this task. So for the sub-task, a sub-task is the smallest unit that makes up a task. So we see here that the sub-task will be created at the task level, and a task can have as many sub-tasks as possible. Sub-tasks are ticked to show completeness or unticked to show incompleteness. So we have here the user stories. As a user, I want to create sub-tasks. I want to also tick as done or tick as uncompleted. So by default, it's going to be unticked so that you can work on that subtask. Then once you complete the subtask, you can now tick it as, or you can mark it as done. So that's the essence or the purpose of this tick as done. So moving down, we have related parts. So the related part, we've talked about link. So be able to link resources to project, to sub-project, and to task. Here we talk about the task mode. So the task mode that we saw just above here. Here we said a user should be able to change the mode of a task. So these are the various tasks that will be provided by the system. We have the tasks. This will list all the tasks that the tasks to be done but not yet started working on. Okay, these are the tasks that will be like the backlog, for example. And then here we have due today. So this mode will indicate all the projects that need to be completed today, and all the projects that are in progress, all the projects that are in the testing mode, for example via unit test or manual test by the QA. We have all tasks that are completed, all tasks that could not be finished due to some issues, and also tasks that have been placed on hold or discontinued till further notice. And here we have the task key result. This is an entity that the QA can draft to ensure proper and manual testing. So you can work alongside with a QA, or you can be a QA for your own tasks. And key result is going to be attached to different tasks. So once the task is completed, we can now indicate to the QA to go through the key result for each task in order to identify if the task was completed successfully or not. So once I'm done with the user story, we move to the use case, and we start with the actor documentation. So for now, we're going to have two actors. Well, the first actor is going to be just a visitor, because our application will require login and registration. So we want to make sure that when a visitor comes into our web page, for example, or our website, we will present the visitor with the home page with some details to trigger the visitor to register, something like that. So here we're going to have a visitor, and the visitor is going to be a secondary user, because this is not meant for visitors. It is meant for those who are going to finally register, okay, in order to use the application. So a visitor here is a secondary user. So the actor is a secondary role interacting with the system, who has to register in order to become a user. So here we're going to refer to a registered user as a user. So in this case, the actor relationship, the actor will be able to interface with the following use cases. We have the registration and the login. So these are the two interfaces that the visitor will be able to interact with. As for the A user is a primary user, of course, and the actor is a primary role interacting with the system in order to carry out all functionalities such as. So I'm going to remove the such as, because previously I listed all the different functionality here, and I saw that it was really not it wasn't ideal. So I'm going to remove this. I'm going to modify this in a minute. So what are the actor relationship? So we can see all of this. These are all the use cases that we are going to develop. Quote category, quote link, quote label, quote modes. So for the quote mode, we're going to think about that, because previously I said the modes will be provided by the system. So the user should not be able to create, to modify, or to to delete a mode. So the user should be able to read the mode only. So I'm going to change it to just read mode. So a user will be able to create projects, sub-projects, categorize sub-projects, create, quote on tasks, label tasks, change task modes, quote subtasks, and tick subtasks. So these are the various use cases that we're going to look into. So in this case, we have the use case documentation, where we kind of go into detail about each use case. So I'm going to read just two of them to make it short, but I'm going to provide this documentation for you to go through. So we have the UC registration. So the registration here, the actor responsible, or the actor who is going to interact or interface with this use case, is going to be the visitor. So once you come into the system, you're a visitor until you log in or you register. So this use case deals with the registration of an actor so that they can log in and act as a user. All right. And so for the registration, it's going to require the username, password, first name, last name, telephone number, email, address, date of birth, country, and so on. So I basically took this from the registration of GitHub, I think so. So I was just looking for the best way to do this as simple as possible. So, and we're going to also provide other things like profession and so on. The visitor provides all the required details via a registration form. I'm not a front-end developer, but I'm looking forward to learn front-end. But if anybody who wants to volunteer or who wants to contribute to this project with a front-end, I don't know, either a desktop application or a website where you can consume this API, I'm going to really appreciate it if you can do something to help me out with the front end. All right. So, and upon validation, the system saved them in the database. Precondition: what should happen before the user interact with the UC registration? So the person is a visitor, not yet registered. And after the user have interacted with the registration use case, we have the post condition. The visitor is now registered and can log in to become a user. We have some constraints here. A visitor can be registered only once with the same email, phone number, username, because they are each unique element. So we're going to make sure we provide this restriction, or we implement this restriction. And for those who will be working with the front end, so you will have to provide a registration form. Okay, that's going to send a request to the API with all this information. So I've documented for the login, for all the different use cases that we have seen. So let me take one more. For example, let's come to the tax, quote tax. So who is interacting with the tax? A user. So a user, remember, is somebody that's already registered and have logged into the system. So this use case deals with performing quote operation on a task. A task can belong to only one sub-project, whereas a sub-project can contain many tasks. So probably one-to-many relationship, going on here. So constraint: the ROT, meaning that the read, update, and delete operation can be performed on a user-owned task. So we have to make sure that we restrict user from modifying tasks that were not created by them. Okay, so if you want to modify a task, you have to modify only the task that was created by you. So this is the constraint that we have here. And for the front end guys, you're going to provide a task form that's going to permit us to especially to create and to update tasks. Okay, but to rate a task, of course, we're going to have a list that's gonna display all the different tasks. All right, so these are all the documentation. So after I'm done with the use case documentation, then we go to the use case diagram. So we can see, so we have a user is going to log in, and before the user log in, he needs to register first, and a visitor registers in this case. So we have, after the login, the user can create a project and can optionally, after creating a project, you can also create a sub project, or you can also link resources to that project. Once you've created a project, you can link resources, and you can create sub project. And after you create your sub project, you can categorize a sub project. You can also link resources to that sub project. You can create tasks, because tasks are created in sub project. After you've created the tasks, you can link again resources to that task. You can label the tasks. You can create subtasks. You can change the mode of that task, and you can label the tasks. Once you've created the subtasks, you can tick the subtasks to show that it is completed or not. Okay, so that's how it looks like. And yeah, for the system is going to do some calculation, calculating to make sure that we have a statistics of how many tasks were completed, how many subtasks were completed, how many projects were completed. That's going to be performed by the system. And what will happen is that before the system performs this calculation, it needs to make sure first that the A user has changed the task mode. So once you change the task mode of a task, we need to recalculate the statistics. Or once you tick a subtask or untick a subtask, we have to recalculate the statistics, because the statistics just shows you how many tasks were completed and how many subtasks were completed. So that's it for the first part. I hope you enjoyed. We just saw the requirement, we saw the use case documentation, the actor documentation, we saw the use case diagram. This is just a phase I want to go through for all my projects that I'll be implementing on this channel, to make sure that those who are new to programming or professional can also enjoy, can also have a knowledge of how things are done behind the scene, the designing process, information gathering, and so on and so forth. This is the skill. This is a skill that people like us didn't have the opportunity to develop while we're working for startup, because we didn't have the opportunity to get involved into such processes. But I just want to make sure that we have this in mind while we are about to implement our project, to make sure that we don't get stuck into implementation and moving back and forth into different mistakes, different bugs. So we'll make sure that we understand what we're doing. We design our program, and we think about the database, API, and so on and so forth. So in our next video, we are going to see how to design our database. We're going to talk about databases. We're going to see how to design our database and try to avoid some mistakes, like some anomalies that we may see with databases. And thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for liking. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for commenting in order to improve on this documentation. Like I said, I'm also new to this process. Like I said, I didn't have the opportunity to work on such things in startups, and also many companies I've worked for. So I may have made some mistakes. You're welcome to comment to see how we can improve this before we finally get into the implementation phase. Thank you very much, and see you in the next video.